Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies. Greetings.
There's a company called Hot Toys, and they make these insanely realistic, renderings of characters. They do them for all the Marvel characters or whatever, and they look so much like you. It's disturbing, actually. Like, scary. They look so much like you, but they're tiny. They're like 18 inches or something like that. They actually that's what's crazy about that company is they hand make the, like they carve the mold of, thank you, of the.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am better late than never. And tonight, I am flying solo. I gave Mmmm and Lael the night off. I figured, you know what? I was at a dinner. I thought we would extricate ourselves from the party a little earlier than we did. We did not. It didn't play out that way. I didn't want to be rude. And yes, I lost control of the time. I lost control of myself. Actually, that's not true. I didn't. So I am here for Midnight Musings, but because I only have myself, and it's no fun to be on Midnight Musings if you have no one to muse with. So you know what that means, kids. It means I'm going to muse with you. You members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community, this is your time. It's midnight Pacific time. This is your time to shine. And I'm going to put you on this live show. And we'll see if you read comments like 2 hours late, dude. Yep, that's true. 2 hours late. It is true. But like I said, better late than never. You've had planes delayed longer than 2 hours. Come on now. You got Dieter Bastian coming up later today. You got me right now. And you're gonna have some strange. You're gonna have some randos come on tonight. And if you've got a good microphone and a good camera, and you have always dreamt of coming on this show live, well, this could very well be the time for you to shine. Now, obviously, you know what I'm gonna ask. I always ask people that have not been on the show to come on first, because I want people that we don't know, that we've never met. So if you've been on the show, hold off. You'll get your chance. I'm going to put the link in the live chat, and if you want to come in to this show, guess what? There's the link in the live chat. I would suggest everyone use Google Chrome. So I'm not going to rant about Lower Decks. I have not seen, Lower Decks is not on my priority list. Everyone knows it's animation, which means it's not real. That's fine. It's okay. But, hey, I can talk about Star Trek Picard Season 3 if you want to talk about that. I mean, as much as I can talk about that a little. But we'll see. We'll see if anybody comes on. We'll see what you guys are going to say. What you want. But we're going to talk a little House of the Dragon. We're going to talk a little She-Hulk. We'll talk a little, heck, I'm not going to even tell you what we have to talk about. We can talk about what you imagination connoisseurs want to discuss. That is, if you just, if nobody jumps on, I look like Santa, the Santa Claus of scattered or shattered starships. You know what? I have to be honest. I'm never not without. There's always starships close by. Nebula class. There's always something. I think Mike Akuda did this with an actual model of the Galaxy class Enterprise. But there you go. There's always starships close to my heart, close by all the time. JMac Adelic says, "You're the man, Rob. First time viewer of Midnight Musings." Well, this is an atypical show. Obviously, we don't have Lael. We don't have Lael or with me. I said I gave him the night off. So there you go. Whatever you need. But no one seems to be jumping right on. So here, let's talk a little She-Hulk. Now, I watch the Drinkers. I do like the critical Drinkers analysis of almost everything he does. Now, even he is not he's not a big fan of the of She-Hulk. I have to say I like She-Hulk. I enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't see it as some kind of feminist tract. I saw Jennifer and of course Bruce talking as the family members that they are, which is good. By the way, I've got my first guest for tonight's show. Robin, is it Hoyland? Is that right, Robin? Did I get okay? All right, Robin, that's you. I'm going to put you in. I'm going to wait until I get somebody else so I can have. Okay, Stubble. I'll put you in. I'll put you in, Coach. And let me give you guys a minute. Hang on a second, because I've got to put you into the actual show, which is fun. So that takes me a moment to do. It's not easy because it's like a TV studio. It's not just like a Zoom or anything like that. But I was gonna say I like She-Hulk. I'm enjoying She-Hulk. I know a lot of people are, to me it's very similar to the John Byrne run on the comic that he did in Spectacular She-Hulk, or Sensational She-Hulk. That's what it was, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I mean, it's exactly what I expected it to be. We'll see where it goes. But anyway, please welcome Stubble McShave is on the left of the screen, and Mr. Robin Hoyland he's in the center square. Welcome to Midnight Musings, gentlemen. Are you ready to muse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Stubble, we know you. We love you. We've seen you before, and I'm glad to have you here. You're always good for a laugh, and I appreciate your literary. You love books, and I appreciate that because as a book lover myself. But now let me ask you this, Robin. I don't think you've been around these parts, have you?
No, I've never been on the show.
You've never been on the show. First of all, you got to tell us where are you coming from?
Norway.
Norway.
Oslo, Norway.
You're coming all the way from Oslo. And Stubble, where are you coming to us from?
I'm from Sweden, southeast of Sweden.
Look at that. All right, southeast of Sweden and Norway representing in the house. Well, Robin, I got to ask you, all of school, we need, what's left? Finland?
Denmark.
All right, Denmark, that's Scandinavia. I've been to Denmark. I've been to Copenhagen. It's beautiful. I love it there. Wait, well, what's Finland? Is Finland not, what is Finland? What's that considered? Uh-oh. I think we lost Stubble.
Oh, no.
Stubble's frozen. What can I say? Stubble, I don't know why you got cut out. We got Alex. Alex is here. One of our own. I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna put him there anyway. Alex, I can hear me on your. Do you have headphones? So I can't hear you. I don't know if I can do that. Well, Stubble's gone, but that's that's what happens. I can still hear me because I don't want to put. All right, Alex. Well, we can listen to me. Good. All right, you got headphones. Only because I can hear myself, and it's weird. So let me ask you this, Robin. Are you watching She-Hulk or House of the Dragon?
Yeah, I'm watching both of those.
No, well, give me, since you've never been on the show before, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you dig? What do you like as a fan? What are some of your favorite things?
Well, hold on. I just got to mute the other one. Hold on. I'm getting some weird
Yeah, a
echo.
little strange feedback. Let's see.
Yeah.
Put Alex in there. I'll put him in the show. So tell me about your fandom. What is it you really like?
Well, do you want me to go now or?
Yeah. Tell
Yeah, sure.
Alex, I can still hear me on you. I don't know why I'm hearing myself on. I'm hearing somebody. One of you. I'm hearing the stream. Hang on, maybe it's that. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. I think we got it now, Robin.
Okay, cool. So, well, I'll watch pretty much anything that's down that alley in terms of fantasy and science fiction stuff. But I think the first real nerddom thing I got into was Spider-Man when the Raimi movies came out. That's
now,
when I started
how
reading.
old were you then?
I'm a 91 child, so I'm not great with that was 2001, right?
Yeah, so you're 21, right?
Yeah, well, no, that can't be right. I'm 31 now.
Oh, 31. So you were born. When were you born?
1991.
Oh, okay, 91. Yeah. Got
Right.
it.
So I'm not sure how old I was in 2001. 10 years old, maybe?
You were 10 years old. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, right. So I watched the movie and I loved the movie, and I'd never really been into comics before that. But that's the moment I went out of the theaters, I went and picked up some comics. And the thing with the Spider-Man comics in Norway, or probably any Marvel comics, I would guess, is we didn't get the full collection of every type of Spider-Man comic you could get. We would get one issue of Spider-Man, and it would be a collection of stories that Norwegian editors would pick from
Oh,
the other
that's
ones.
interesting. Okay.
Right. So I never got a complete story of anything. I just got like bits and pieces. But I remember the part that was the big storyline when I was got into it was the whole thing with Morlund, and he was chasing Spider-Man around, and it was a really dramatic storyline. So that was my first entry to Marvel and stuff like that. But as a kid, I obviously loved Star Wars. I kind of grew away from it for a while, but then it came back when the newer stuff started coming around, and then started falling off again when things started going a certain direction. But then
Sure.
then later stuff came out, and I was on board again. And then Boba Fett and Obi-Wan wasn't necessarily my favorite things, but yeah, that's kind of been my thing. And it's more in the more recent years, I've been falling deeply in love with Star Trek, mostly because of you and a couple of friends of mine who are really into it. And so
Well, that's
yeah,
good.
that's yeah.
Now, have you been? Obviously, there's a lot of talk, especially here on YouTube and fan circles, of various kinds of shows, whether things are identity, very, very heavily skewed toward identity politics and things like that. How do you feel about modern iterations of these franchises, whether it's superheroes or Star Trek or Star Wars, now Lord of the Rings? Do you feel that as much in Norway as a lot of us feel here in the United States?
Yeah, I think it is kind of similar in terms of how people approach it. I would say because a lot of people are invested in American culture through social media and stuff. So the people who are really into this stuff, they have similar kinds of views that you will find in sort of fan circles that you'll find on YouTube and such. And but I think the general consensus is like over here, the whole when we're talking about wokeness and stuff, it's a little bit different here. We don't have that like I don't even know where to begin there, but it's not like I don't feel like we have this toxic thing where everyone's arguing about, oh, this is good, but no, it's not good, and it's we don't really have that deep of an online culture about that. I think
Right.
here in Norway. So
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Well, let me. I'm going to ask. Alex hasn't been here before, but now, Alex, I can still hear the channel coming through your computer.
An online culture about that.
Right.
So,
Well, that's good. I can't hear you, but I can hear the computer audio. I don't know if you can switch it over.
I can still hear the channel coming through your.
I cut it off, so I can hear the channel coming through your. It's almost like whatever your audio output is, we're getting feedback. It's really weird. I don't know. If you can maybe play with your settings, like your output settings. I don't know what kind of computer you're on. But it sounds like it's doubling up for some reason. But I'll keep you on for a while, so maybe you can fix it. But so let me ask you this. I'll go back to you, Robin. So what are you loving right now?
Right now, I really like the Orville. I've been falling in love with that. I think that's it's one of those shows that, like, if we're talking about wokeness and stuff, I would say the Orville is kind of enlightened in many ways. They like to talk about things that are absolutely relatable to different kinds of groups and stuff, but they manage to do it in a way that doesn't become like it doesn't feel like they're trying to base it in the current political climate. They're trying to tell an interesting story within their world, and that's kind of that's the reason I've been falling in love with the older Star Treks, because that's exactly what those do.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I thought that the Orville season 3 was actually quite good, and what I thought. I was having a long conversation with another producer about this today, and I said, I think all of us agree that human beings need to be themselves and that be respected and as individuals and as part of a community and all of that. And I thought that our civilization was actually on a pretty good path. If you could see that, especially over the last 30 years, how things were in fact progressing. And it was going on a pretty decent path, and it's been sort of really derailed by it feels like, rather than looking for things like equality, now one side wants to punish another side. Everybody wants to take their pound of flesh for perceived injustices since the dawn of time. And I feel like the Orville, what I've really enjoyed about the Orville this season is, I guess some people might call it woke, but I would say it's more celebrating all creatures, great and small. And it's done some really interesting things. A human getting married to a Kaelon. Spoiler alert. The Kaelons themselves, what you're dealing with, Bortus and his husband and their child. And all of that was very, very interesting, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can say what you want about it. It does. The further I get into older Star Treks, I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a lot of Next Generation. That's where I started.
Sure.
And the more I see of the Orville, the more I realize that this is stuff that I've seen this before in different forms. There's aspects of this that is very similar to specifically old Star Trek episodes, but other shows too. But I think they managed to do it in a way that still feels fresh. And I was looking at an older interview with McFarlane where he was talking about he just wanted to fill a spot that had been left open by later Star Treks. And I think that's completely fair, because they're not making the same thing anymore.
Right. Sure.
We'll see with season 3. I'm one of those people who when you say season 3 of Picard is going to be amazing, I'll trust you on that.
Oh,
I
I'm not
know.
going to say it's going to be amazing. I can tell you it is amazing.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. If you say that, I will fully trust you on that. I have no doubt about it. But
Yeah. I mean, let me see, Alex. Can we? I don't hear anything coming from you, but can I? I don't think I can hear you yourself. Yeah, I can't hear. We can't hear you now. I don't know what that is, but that's okay. You know, people have. If you haven't come on before, it's always a little wacky to figure it out. I'll keep you here. Keep trying. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have asked me about that, and they're like, and people don't believe me. They think I'm a paid shill, and for me, you know, a great story starts with great characters and a great story. A great story is with great characters and a great story itself. And the one thing that I think that Star Trek Picard seasons 1 and 2 did not feel, I didn't feel that I was watching first and foremost the character of Jean-Luc Picard. I didn't feel like I was watching a Star Trek show. I felt like I was watching an amalgamation of Guardians of the Galaxy meets 5 other different shows. And I felt that their understanding of things like synths and what they were doing with the Romulans, and none of it felt like Star Trek. It felt like everything but Star Trek. And what was really missing to me was the camaraderie between the characters. You know, we're looking at Jean-Luc Picard with a bunch of characters that we don't know, and Jean-Luc Picard didn't feel like Jean-Luc Picard. And I'm like, who is this person? And I understand, I mean, in season 2, we're supposed to believe that Picard, the trauma with his mother who hung herself, I'm like, this is so far away from what Star Trek is to be almost unrecognizable. And it's also, it wasn't a story that anybody wanted to hear. And, you know, the thing that I loved about Star Trek Picard season 3 so much is nothing feels the same as seasons 1 and 2. It's like watching a completely different show. And when it opens, the first 5 minutes, people are going to be like, well, Rob, that's just like it was. Yes, because they still are making Star Trek Picard season 3, so there are ties. But when 10 minutes in to the first episode, you're going to be like, huh, this feels different. And it goes from there. And it's a very epic, sprawling story of the Star Trek universe that is an extension of Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager. And it feels like you're in that universe with characters that you know, and it feels like Star Trek The Next Generation. And that's why that's in simplest terms, without spoiling anything, that's all I can say. And that showrunner Terry Matalas was given free reign, and that's what he did. He said, oh, well, if I'm given free reign, I'm going to make a sequel to Star Trek The Next Generation, which is what everybody thought they were making in the first place. That's why it was called Star Trek Picard. And, you know, a lot of people... Let's see. Alex, are you there? Can we hear you now?
You got me?
Yeah, you're 5x5. All right, Alex, welcome to the show. If you could kick up your volume a little bit. As if there's... Alex works for the channel, and we've never met, Alex.
No, we haven't, but we've talked on numerous occasions.
Yes, but we've never met. If you can get us any more volume, that would be good. I don't know if we can.
Yes, I'm working on that right now.
But so Robin, what are some of your favorite episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
My favorite episodes is Data's Day, easily.
Wow. Okay, that's unusual. Now, why is Data's Day your favorite episode?
Well,
not by the way, not a wrong answer. That's just you don't hear that as someone's favorite episode. That's really unique.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that. I figured it would be one of those episodes that people actually. I loved it, but the thing is, I haven't seen. I think I've seen almost all of season 4 so far. So I'm a pretty recent viewer into this. I started with the Next Generation movie, First Contact.
Okay.
That was my first thing after Orville, where I just wanted to watch something just to see what it was like, and then immediately hooked. And yeah, I loved it all the way. But when I got to Data's Day, the thing that really stuck with me in there is that throughout the show, they talk about Data not having emotions. He doesn't have the code to have these emotions and stuff. But in this episode, there's so many little details where it shows that he clearly does have emotions. There's specifically when he's talking to this woman who I think is a spy, Romulan spy, I think.
Yeah.
And when he walks out of the office, she's been very suspect, and he walks out of the office going, "This is one of those moments where I wish I had what human beings call a gut feeling." And that is proof that he has a gut feeling.
Right.
And there's also another moment in that episode where I don't remember exactly what he is doing, but he's doing something on a computer, plotting a course for the what is it called? The zone they're not supposed to go to, the neutral zone. He's plotting a course over there or something along those lines. And he says something about wishing he knew what it was like to be nervous. And as he says it, you can see his finger going like this as if he's nervous. And then he looks at it and he stops it. And then that's all we see about it. And I don't know, it's just stuff like that that really humanizes him. And then there's the whole thing with the wedding and the way he deals with all the characters there. It's a really funny episode, and it has drama, and it really, I don't know, it really strengthens that character. So he became my favorite character so far.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll be curious to see what you think of. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where you. So you've only watched First Contact. You've not watched Generations or
No, not yet.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But have you watched from season 1 through season 4?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so you know the best of both worlds, and now First Contact makes more sense to
yeah.
you. There's stuff
Yeah.
you're going to find out about the Borg later in seasons 5, season 6, well, actually not really in season 7, but yeah, it's well, yeah, the first episode of season 7. It'll be interesting to see where you wind up with that. Now, let me ask you this, Alex. Same thing. Where are you coming to us from?
I am coming from Chicago.
Chicago.
Yes,
Are you
sir.
born and bred in Chicago?
I am born and bred in Chicago.
Now, how do you come down on Gino's East Pizza?
When it comes to Gino's East, it's an easy third place. I'm going to go with Lou Malnati's as my second, and then there's this real awesome spot downtown. It's called Romanelli's, and you will die if you have it. It's phenomenal.
All right, now let me ask you. You're still a little low, but I'll go with it. People can hear.
Sorry about that, brother. I'm so sorry.
No, the closer you hold you're louder. The closer you hold your microphone to your mouth, it's better.
Better? Okay, good.
Yeah, the closer. Yeah, it's fun. That's good. That's really good. That's good.
Perfect.
So let me ask you this. Tell us, you're from Chicago, born and bred. How much of a nerd are you, Alex? Like, what is your nerd jam?
Okay, my nerd jam. Like you, my dad was a pilot for United, so I was raised on Star Trek. He was a huge Star Trek fan. So
Nice. I like your dad.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude, and he was for United. So like, whenever I come up into the cockpit, he'd always be like, "All right, we're going on thrusters," and then he'd be like, "Okay." Yeah, and then he'd be like, and just like Kirk would say, "Okay, Sulu, kick it," and then like that's when you take off. So I was raised on that. Obviously, like the original movies, I really loved the original movies. I felt that there was always so much heart, and like you always talk about on the show, they always were kind of dealing with.
Just keep your mic. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, real life issues, things that were going on in the times at that time.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Which I found to be so brilliant that they were able to intertwine science fiction with what's going on, and it kind of related to us in that fashion, in that format. It's crazy. Like I won't lie, I got once we got into Generations. My dad took me to Generations, and then when Kirk died, I was like, this is some horse shit. Like,
It is.
Yeah, like I just didn't like the way he went out and the
No.
whole 9 yards. Yeah, I feel like he should have gotten a much more heroic death, and But other than that, like I love most of the movies. Like the fifth one, but I mean, it still has and poses questions. I think that we all want to know is there a God? Who is God?
Right.
And I've always found that to be really interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, what about other things? Did you read comics? Did you like
Oh,
Star Wars and
oh
other?
yeah, oh yeah. Like my very first comic book that I got, my grandma bought me. My grandma is she was a very like small Hispanic Puerto Rican lady, like, and she'd be like, "Hey, mijo, I got you some comics from the store. I hope you like them." And needless to say, one of them was Wolverine, and the other one was Punisher. And I was like, "Grandma, I'm 9." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You scored, man.
I did score, and I ended up. Those are my two favorite Marvel characters to this day. I will always. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do appreciate all different kinds of characters. I'm not saying that I'm a Marvel or I love all characters from DC and Marvel, but that's who kind of got me into that in the whole 9 yards. Was needless to say was my Spanglish speaking grandma.
I love that your Spanglish speaking grandmother gave you Wolverine and the Punisher.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So I will ask you the same question about, modern. There's a lot of talk in fan circles about things like identity politics or too much politics in our science fiction. I mean, I've always thought that most stories have a political bent to them, and
Yeah.
Star Trek really never shied away from that. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I love the political stories in Star Trek, especially in Next Generation. Robin, you haven't seen it yet, but my favorite Star Trek The Next Generation two-parter happens in season 6. And it's a 2-part episode called Chain of Command. And when you get to it, you'll know it. And it's incredible. Incredible. But well, I would ask you, like, Alex, what do you think about storytelling today?
You know what? For me, like I'm similar to you. Like I watch you and John, and you and I've spoken on a couple times, and when it came down to it, I've always been about storytelling, and it is sometimes cool to have some things that are political to be involved that we can all understand and grasp. But I also feel like I think that like Star Trek 6 kind of was like that perfect like vibe of political interaction in a movie. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? It's equality for all mankind. It's you know what I mean. It's just fighting for the fundamental, you know, goodness of man. And I think sometimes these new shows are getting so construed in the what's hot, what's popular, what's this, what's that, rather than just being its own identity.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think a lot of the problem is it's bad storytelling. It's didactic.
Yeah,
They're not allowing. I mean, the great thing about Star Trek was it was allegorical. It would give you these stories where you're supposed to get it.
yeah.
Star Trek assumed that the audience was intelligent,
No,
and a lot of it's very interesting. Star Trek Picard season 3 assumes that the audience is intelligent.
well, you know
And
what? It's nice to actually hear that because I mean you've been raving about this. Now I'm not going to say how you know about this, but I think it's pretty cool that And what I admire about you is for as much of like shitting on these last two, these couple other Star Trek, genres, I will say that I give you mad props in the sense that you're able to come back and go, listen, on this one, I have to bite my tongue. They did a great job. They learned, maybe picked up some things and came along the way. And I think that's a positive, notion, and hopefully the other shows might take that same advice.
yeah, I mean, look, it just, I think, and having heard everything that I've thought about, here's the thing. So often in Hollywood, especially on these genre programs, everybody says that they love Star Trek and everyone says they love Star Wars or Marvel, but very few people that are working within the industry really understand these things. Like I've found that a lot about horror. Like I'm a huge horror is especially literary horror. Like I read a ton of horror novels and I love horror films and now we're sort of in this weird there's this really weird like A24 horror, you
Yeah.
know, highbrow horror, call it what you want, elevated horror.
Gotcha.
And a lot of that's fine, like, because I think that my favorite horror film of all time is The Exorcist. But The Exorcist is the perfect combination of elevated horror and then monster demonic let Jesus fuck you action. You know, you
Pretty much, yeah.
and it's a perfect combination of that. And it skews more toward the real, which is why that I love it so much. But on the other hand, you know, a lot of, and Rosemary's Baby is right up there too, but I still love traditional monster movies. You know, I love creature features and the idea of the beast that's inside of us and our animalistic natures, and metaphorically or euphemistically or whatever. That's a lot. Horror is really, it all comes from our fear of death.
Yeah.
You know, our fear that our lives will come to a very abrupt, painful end, whether it's brought about by anything from nuclear war to zombies to werewolves to vampires. I mean, and it makes it sort of, it quantifies the end of our lives with creatures, you know, or with evil or with something else. Like the very idea that we have to die is where horror, like that, well, that sucks.
Yeah, like I have to die this way in this manner and fashion. Yeah, like definitely. Like it's a very frightening thing, and I do agree with you that there is that highbrow, but I do miss that kind of monster genre where you don't know what it is. Like the closest I've seen where it's not really horror, but it was actually really well done, and I don't know if you've been able to see it, was Midnight Mass on
Oh yeah, that's the Flanagan series.
I found that even though it wasn't like rather so much graphic, I found that like just misconstrued of a very old priest who thinks this is an angel and brings it back. You know what I mean? Like I find that to be, and that evil that he brings back with him, he thinks he's bringing good to the world,
Right.
and it's not. You know what I mean? It actually is not at all. And I find that to be very terrifying. You know what I mean? And that is, even the best intentions come the worst outcomes.
Oh, which is great. Robin, let me ask you this: do you like up there in Norway? Do you like horror? Did you grow up as a horror movie fan?
Well, I didn't grow up as a horror movie fan. No, my father was one of those people who thought you could show the kid whatever's cool, right? So he would show me Alien when I was 5 years old, and
Oh, that's good.
That freaked the hell out of me. So I didn't watch Alien until I was like maybe 16 or 17, and then I loved it, of course. But it freaked me out. I don't know which Alien movie he showed me, but he also would show me The Shining and stuff like that. And you know, for a while I wasn't really watching that many scary movies. The movies that would scare me for. So this is embarrassing to say, even, but when I was 15, I watched Signs, and that scared me so much that I had trouble sleeping for maybe half a year.
Of course, that was M. Night Shyamalan's fourth feature film,
Right?
And Signs has one of my favorite moments in any genre film, and it's when the creature's revealed. You know, they're watching the TV. I think they're getting a TV.
That's the moment.
Shocked the shit out of me. I was done.
I mean, there are. It doesn't achieve Exorcist 3 levels of jump scare greatness, but the way that was shot, and I'm always looking for verisimilitude in horror, because it's really real, especially with creatures. It's really hard to do, and that creature just, and all it does is it just walks by and like looks at the camera down an alleyway, you know. And there's something, the thing about that moment, and I think the reason, you know, I always say I'm the viceroy of verisimilitude, but really it's a quest to create images like that you believe utterly, that look at you, and then in the belief, and it's so hard to do, it's fucking terrifying.
What
I
makes
was
it
watching that moment with my best friend in his apartment, and his apartment is everything is dark. The walls are very dark, darkly gray, right? And I'm sitting there going like, dude, we have to go up to my place because my mom has she has white walls. Everything is bright. I can't watch this movie in your apartment. It's too scary. So we had to walk up there and watch the rest. But it's funny because when I was six, my favorite movie of all time was Jurassic Park, and that was like my biggest thing. And I remember when Lost World came out, I got no, not the DVD, I got the VHS tape, and my cousin was visiting at the time, and she was a year or younger than me, and because she was gonna stay there for 2 weeks, I wasn't allowed to watch the movie. So I was like, because she was terrified of dinosaurs. For me, that movie was awesome because you get to see dinosaurs. I didn't even think about this being scary, but I was really into dinosaurs, I guess. So that helps.
Well, Alex, it seems like you're on the same page here. I mean, Signs, obviously. What are some of your other favorite horror films?
I gotta say before I go on, like what makes that scene is Joaquin Phoenix's face when it comes back to him, and like that shock, like
Where
my
he
God.
goes, he backs up. He's like, ah.
He gets out of his chair, stands up, and it's just like it's almost like Roy Scheider when he sees the first shark attack, and he just stands up. It's that same vibe.
It's the you're
And
gonna
just
need a
like,
bigger boat scene.
yeah. Exactly.
It is a great scene.
Makes that whole thing.
But it's funny because you make a good point in that horror or scenes like that are always made better if there's a human reaction to what you've just seen.
Absolutely.
And you think about like you brought up Jaws. I think you're going to need a bigger. It's so great because I got to be out here chumming this shit, and he's not even paying attention. He doesn't. And then the shark comes up, and what's so great is that the jerky movement of him when he's just like, and he's fucking freaked out, and then he walks
slow step backwards.
Well, and in Jurassic Park, you've got the same, the Sam Neill.
Mm-hmm.
When he first sees the dinosaurs, and because those people, the characters in the movie are commenting on what we've just seen. They're doing the commenting that we're feeling, if it's done well. And I don't think that a lot of, there's a lot of filmmakers, especially horror filmmakers, that don't quite get it. Like some people do. Like I remember when I saw Robert Eggers' The Witch for the first time. There's a really great sense of dread in that movie, and I mean, there's a goat. I live deliciously, whatever, and it's just, but it's really hard to do that. And as much as I like all the elevated horror, there's something to be said if you can. There's a great shot in American Werewolf in London, and while the Rick Baker transformation stuff is done in a lot of high key lighting. It's really bright, and they're doing the physical effects. My favorite shot in that movie, there's a shot in the subway when David is fully transformed into the wolf, and the camera's way up high, and it's above, and it's looking down the escalator. Okay. And you see the poor London businessman, he's kind of backing up on the ground, and you see the werewolf come out from the top of the frame and just walk towards him. And there's something about that big wide shot, and you're looking down. That shot freaks the fuck out of me because it's like it's not relying on a close-up. It's relying on the fact that, to me, that's the verisimilitude. That's the reality of the horror that you're seeing. You believe it. Because, there's a lot of shots in that movie that if you look close, especially since 1981 when it came out, we know that we're watching puppets and we know we're watching physical effects. But that shot, it still works when you see that shot from it. And it's great because the guy's on the ground and the wolf is slow because he knows he's going to take that guy's head off.
He's like, that's pretty much what it is. It still takes you back to the base nature of a wolf. As he's just doing that slow, you know what I mean? I'm about to, go get it. And the guy knows it, you know what I mean? And it's just that kind of like fear and acceptance of like, I'm fucked. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, here we go.
Yeah. He knows his life is over. And
Yeah.
in film, that's a really hard thing to do.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's a really because so many things have to. First of all, you have to have a convincing puppet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to have a convincing location. You have to have convincing actors, and you also have to have the understanding of the way to stage a scene like that.
Yes.
And it's really, really hard to do. And I think, unfortunately, today there are not a lot of horror filmmakers that are able to do that, or they rely, and like actually anybody making genre movies is relying too much on CG or effects.
That's what I was going to bring up to you, and I was going to ask you is what do you find more terrifying? Is it when you have a CGI creature, that, even if it's great CGI, or rather the older prosthetic, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, it's. I think for me, it's a combination of things, because now, I mean, here's what I can't stand. I really hate movies that, in a way, they use effect sequences the way pornographic movies use porn.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
close-ups of the actual physical pumping. You
yeah,
know,
you don't want to see the ball. Yeah,
it stops. You're not. It's not erotic, so the visuals of it are obviously arousing, but there's nothing really more. I mean, the pornography is I think the derivation. The word means like without feeling.
Yeah.
And so often when they go into these effect sequences, you don't feel anything, because the story, the only reason that movies work is you're watching the plight of other human beings. And even in a superhero movie, you know, it's funny, I was watching somebody on Twitter today sent me a link to the scene in Avengers Age of Ultron where Ultron, they're in Sokovia, and Ultron shows up with his robots, and they replay that famous scene from Avengers 1 where the camera swirls around the Avengers as they all land. Well, they do the same thing in Age of Ultron, but the camera's swirling around. They're kind of in a citadel or something, and all the Ultron bots come at them, and all the Avengers and Quicksilver, and they're all blasting each other. And this guy added the Avengers theme to that sequence, and I hadn't seen that sequence in a long time, and I looked at it and I was like, you know, that scene's awesome because you're with all of the Avengers, you like these characters, and the way the sequence is mapped out, it's done really, really well. That each Avenger has their own moment, even though there's a lot of mayhem happening, and in horror, you know, you have to be like in John Carpenter's Halloween, you'll see Jamie Lee Curtis in the foreground, and she will have stabbed the shape, and then the shape just sits up, you know, in the background, and you're like, fuck, and because you have the connection of the horror and your human character at the same time, and that's the key, I think. And by the way, not easy to do. I don't want to say that. I'm not saying that it's really hard to do.
I think the nearest thing that I've seen lately that has used prosthetics and light CGI perfectly was this recent Prey, which was Predator movie.
Yep.
I thought they did fantastic with that. And the way that they made the Predator far more, I'm going to say just brutal, just violently and brutal. You know what I mean? They're just you know what I mean? Like no holds barred. And I think that was what kind of was terrifying about this version of the Predator out of all the other movies. You know what I mean?
Yep, I agree. Robin, have you seen that? Have you seen Prey?
Oh yeah, I had to see it because of all the talk about it. I was curious. Is everyone right about it? Is everyone wrong about it? I had to find out. I'm not a huge Predator fan. I've watched all of them, but it's not a franchise I hold incredibly highly in my fandom. But I really liked it. I was surprised by it. I was picturing that this was going to be a movie I didn't enjoy that much, but I actually did really enjoy it. I thought it was if I'm going to rank the Predator movies, I would say number one, and then I would say the one with Adrian Brody, and then I would say this one.
Yeah, you know, Predators. I'm actually a fan. That's the Robert Rodriguez or produced version. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, you know, the funny thing about the Predator movies is even the first Predator is a lot of fun, and you look at it fondly, but I don't think the end of it necessarily works as well as people remember it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fun. The creature design, the Predator design is one of the greatest designs ever.
Yeah.
You know, and even in Prey, they changed it.
Look-
But you know, like I would ask you guys, going back to science fiction, you know, to me, science fiction is more of a like I'm a little tired of all science fiction films being action movies.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, the action component is getting a little tiresome.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think my favorite science fiction movie, it's a Swedish film. Aniara is talk about a movie that's full of existential dread. It was a movie that I just felt. It's Aniara, and it's a Swedish movie about settlers that are going from a polluted Earth to relocate on Mars, and their spacecraft is thrown off course, and it goes from there. And it's not action packed. It's much more existential.
Yeah.
But it's just you watch it and you're like, fuck, because you're dealing with, and the same thing is true of, like, you know, we're so used to seeing spaceships zipping around, but that's why I think Alien is a near perfect movie, because we're never, unfortunately, they should never have delved into where the alien came from, because we should never know where the alien came from. We're never going to know.
Agree.
It's like a Lovecraftian old one's demon. We're never going to know we should never have known where the aliens came from. That's why the movie's called Alien. We'll never know.
I agree with that. Like, I think the hard part about Alien is, like, where I got frustrated is, were you able, I know you collect strips, were you able to read Neil Blomkamp's, or the guy who did District 9, his version?
I have not read his version of Alien.
Oh, I'll tell you what, like, I don't know why they scrapped that. I don't know what happened there, but it was going to take place directly after Aliens. And it was terrifying. Some of the stuff in there is just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, it's too bad that he didn't get to make that. But yeah, it's. I mean, we live in a time where we're getting. I mean, when I was a kid, we would anything to do with science fiction, fantasy, and horror. There was, especially on TV, we'd watch anything to get anything. And, you know, I've noticed that Brett Pierce, one of the Pierce brothers, is in the chat tonight. They made The Wretched, which you can see on Netflix, and they have a deal. They've got a deal over at Sony to make another movie, where I think they've got a much bigger budget. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with next, because they're the real deal. So it'll be interesting, and they have a good grasp of using prosthetics. If you guys haven't seen The Wretched, you should see The Wretched. It's a lot of fun. It has both an old time and a modern feel to it, but it's really, really good. So check that out.
Definitely.
But I think, let's see, what are you guys watching now besides Star Trek and all that? What are some of the things that are happening now that you're most looking forward to? And two, what are the things that are happening now that you most like? I guess let's start with you, Robin.
Most looking forward to is Lord of the Rings, or Rings of Power. I'm just curious to see what it's going to be and what people are going to say. And for me, it's going to be good either way, because I can't wait to hear how people who hate it are going to argue about how it's really bad, and people who might love it, they're going to argue about how it's going to be really good. And I just feel like it's going to be one of those things that people will never stop arguing about, and that's going to be interesting to watch. And I'm curious, because I love Lord of the Rings. I haven't read the books. I should get on that, but the movies are legendary to me, and I obviously have no real expectations that this show is going to live up to that. But if it did, that would be really cool. So that's where I'm on that. I'm really excited to see what that's going to be. But right now, I'm watching She-Hulk and House of the Dragon, like you mentioned earlier, and yeah, I'm. Yeah, I don't know what to think about it yet. I enjoyed the House of the Dragon. I thought that was a
Yeah.
surprisingly positive experience for me,
Yep.
even though it really felt like more Game of Thrones, but with new characters. I was a little disappointed that they used so many of the same themes. I was kind of hoping they would refresh the music a
Oh,
little bit, just
yeah.
to,
Yeah, but I think it is still in the Game of Thrones universe. But yeah, I
of
agree.
course.
What I find really interesting is I think that, I'm friends with a lot of people on YouTube that are really vehemently against the Lord of the Rings shows. And on one hand, I totally understand. I mean, they didn't get the rights to the Silmarillion and the Legendarium and the Second Age, and they're making up a bunch of shit out of whole cloth. But that said, they could end up, that doesn't mean they aren't going to tell a great story. Now, I can sit there and go, okay, this is not Tolkien. This was inspired by Tolkien or loosely based on Tolkien's work. If the story turns out to be good, and the adventure that we get and the battle that we get or the 5 seasons that we get are good, I can remove myself and be like, okay, this is an adaptation. It's not Tolkien, but it can still work as a story. That's where I'm at, because clearly I've watched so many videos and so many passionate Tolkien fans have explained, like, there are characters that don't meet for 1,500 years, and they've compressed these things and they've changed all these things. I totally get that. Totally get it. And they've done all that, and I get it. But that doesn't mean that the story that they're telling themselves isn't going to be a good story.
True.
And
Yeah,
and that's the way I look at it. And it's not Tolkien. They don't even have the rights. They didn't get enough rights to do the stories properly anyway. For all the money they spent, they didn't get the rights to all the material they needed to make the story great. The real question is, if the story is good and it works for people that haven't read the books, if it's a good story the way Game of Thrones is a good story or whatever, then I'm all for it. But
Yeah.
if it's not, and if it's plagued with modern identity politics, yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I was watching She-Hulk. Because episode 1, I thought it was really bad. It was some funny moments in it, but I did not enjoy that at all. But it felt like an origin story that we didn't need to hear. This wasn't interesting in any particular way. But when episode 2 started, I'm suddenly it feels like, oh, this is where it should have started.
Right.
And one thing I really love that episode 2 did is that they have this family dinner scene, and there's nothing special that happens during this scene. They're just it's normal people talking to a superhero or person, but they're talking about the universe that they live in, and that's one of those things that I've been missing from the MCU so much, especially in the Spider-Man movies, where he's going to space, fighting aliens, and opening multiverse gates, and all these things. And No Way Home was a really fun movie, but it's also one of those movies where I feel like it was made to be an event at the time it comes out, and once you've seen it, it doesn't really. It has some great Green Goblin stuff, some amazing stuff with that, but I don't think that movie is going to hold up to the test of time in the same way that the Raimi movies have. It doesn't feel like.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. There's I've been getting some super chats I'd love to throw at you guys. So Matthew Medina says, had a great night. Went to see Bodies, Bodies, Bodies with my girl. I haven't seen that. And our other A24 friends. Then went to this college-style euphoria party. Still partying through the night. College, I am right. Well, Matthew, if you're going to euphoria parties, you are living well, my friend. And
Rub the furry wall. The furry wall.
Oh, that's oh my God. Do I love Get Him to the Greek? Rub the furry wall. That movie is fucking great. It's so good. I love that movie so much. Ghost Rider has been a member for 2 months. Just writes in. Thank you, Ghost Rider. Wesley Namila sends in support. Thank you, Wesley. Our friend RRTNZ from New Zealand says, Bob, mate, Rings of Power coming out soon. I've got a Welsh tip for you. My Welsh sister, Morvith Clark, plays Galadriel. The way it's pronounced, it is pronounced Morvith. Trust me, I speak Welsh, and I should put that on a shirt. That's good to know. Morvid Vid, it looks like her name. It's spelled Morfydd. I'd say Morvid, but now to know it's pronounced Morvith. I like that. What a cool name. Morvith, I'm in. Count me in on Morvith. Matthew Medina goes on to say, have you ever watched anything so... Well, I'll ask you guys. Have you ever watched anything so scary that the paralysis demon comes and gets on top of you or just stares at you? Mine was in the movie Hereditary. And there was insanely bad energy in that house. Have you ever been so scared in a movie that the paralysis demon came out?
Oh, that's a tough one because there's a couple. 30 Days a Night scares the shit out of me. I don't know why. It really does. Like, it's just the whole premise of it that they hunt in these places that they know that they can just eradicate a whole, you know what I mean, town, and it just set it ablaze.
No one's going to come to help them.
Yeah. And it's just like you're on your own, man. Like, it's just like the most helpless feeling that has to be there. You know what I mean? Like, that's just that. It's over. Game over, man. Game over. You know?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I love that. I mean, 30 Days a Night, it's funny. That's a movie that a lot of people talk about. Like, I keep hearing more and more about that movie. And I like that film. I mean, I like obviously it's based on the Steve Niles comic book and stuff. And I really liked it. It was fun.
I think the person that makes the whole movie is that head vampire, that fucking creep. That's in a lot. He's a bad guy in a lot of shit.
Like, I think it's Danny Huston, who's director John Huston's son. Yeah, he's good. He's in so many movies. He's got that way of speaking. It's the voice. Robin, what about you? Do you have a horror movie that paralyzed besides Alien?
Well, yeah. There's another movie about aliens because I was never really that afraid about things that seemed a little bit more down to earth, like serial killers and stuff. That was like, sure, it's scary, but I know if he's gonna come and stab me, I know what's gonna happen. I can understand that. But meeting an alien was to me like, this thing, I have no idea what this thing wants. I don't know how it can communicate with me. And that's like the most terrifying thing for me. So I think the movie's called The Fourth Kind, and it's not a great movie.
With Mila Jovovich?
That sounds, it's been so many years. Maybe that sounds right.
You're the second person to bring that movie up in the last week to me. That's very interesting.
Oh, really?
I wonder if it's airing on cable or something. It's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I saw it so many years ago, but that was a movie that really, another one of those that really had me, I had trouble sleeping for a while. Just that concept just completely destroys me. Not that much anymore. I love now I'm the opposite. If I met an alien, that would be the coolest thing in the world. But
If I met Natasha Henstridge, Syl, I don't care. Okay, you want to turn into a creature? You can.
Oh, absolutely.
I can still get along with you, baby. What's up?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting too, because it's what do people, what creates fear in people, what scares people, and it's also in the presentation of things like that. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Mothman Prophecies.
Oh yeah,
but that's got a lot of really great sort of. It's real, that freaky tension, and there's
Even
a lot.
The backstory when they talk to the different people about what the Mothman prophecies are, that's even creepy. Like,
It's really, and again, it's hard to do that. Like I'm a big fan of, like, in Hereditary. I love movies about cults, like evil cults, religious groups or
Absolutely.
whatever. Like,
Scare the shit out of me. Yeah.
yeah, one day I want to make a movie about a cult. It's
Oh,
like some really evil cult, and
like
yeah, I
devils.
love books with cults in them, and I love the idea that when I was a kid, I think the reason it's very funny. My dad, when Star Wars opened, I was 10 years old, 1977, and we go to see it on Saturday, of opening weekend, and there was this huge line like I'd never seen in my life, and we're not going to get in. And my dad knows I'm going to have a meltdown. He goes, well, I'll take you to another movie. And we went, and he drops us off at a double feature of Race with the Devil and The Car, which the car is about a car possessed by the devil. But Race with the Devil is about these two couples that are taking a journey through the Southwest in America. And they're in a Winnebago. And in the beginning of the movie, they witness a satanic cult murdering, sacrificing a beautiful girl like in the desert. And because they see that, like everywhere they're going, you don't know if there's cult members or what's happening, and there's a great car chase in there. And then it turns out at the very end of the movie, they think they're safe, but every person they meet who was either nice to them or not nice to them turns out to be part of the satanic cult. The entire American Southwest is one gigantic satanic cult. And I would like to believe that, like now more than ever, that I would like to believe that half of America is turned into a satanic cult. That would make sense to me. I'm like, now I get it. And then of course they're all the people we've met in the movie. They're all standing in their black robes and they set fire to the Winnebago and the movie's over. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. When I'm 7 or 10 years old, I'm like, fuck yeah, man. And I was like, I love satanic cults.
You know what cult theme that kind of scared the shit out of me? It wasn't a movie, it was a series, and that was from True Detective season 1. And that whole
True Detective season 1 is fucking great.
yes,
And you
it's
never,
phenomenal.
I mean, it kind of ended soft, but it's still great. I mean, and the feeling of that, because you don't know if it's a satanic cult or what the fuck is going on. It's
just when you see that room where all those horrible things, at some point there were lots of people that were watching this guy just absolutely murder kids, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck am I seeing right now? That's the it, you don't need to actually see it, just to know that it happened. You know what I mean?
yeah. G Money just became a member of the channel, but some old guy in Hawaii, how you doing, says The Car was so bad, and I remember loving it. But the thing is, when you're 10 years old, the idea of Satan driving like some souped up limo, it's fucking awesome, because that's what he would drive. If you're Satan and you come to Earth, why wouldn't you drive a car around in the American Southwest and kill people?
When I think of Satan driving a car, I think of Rob Zombie just driving a car.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. One day I want to make a movie, I guess a horror comedy where like Satan wins.
Yeah.
The apocalypse happens and Satan wins, and now he has to take care of the world.
I
Like
thought we were gonna get close to that in Devil's Advocate, but
I love the Devil's Advocate. That
Yeah.
movie.
we were this close. I was like, come on.
No, Devil's Advocate is great. I'm like, I would work for Al Pacino. And if
Yeah,
I was
Harvey.
Keanu Reeves and Connie Nielsen, redheaded Connie Nielsen, was naked before me, even if she was my satanic sister, I would have slept with her. I'm like, I have no problem
Sorry.
with that.
Listen, I've already accepted the devil. Inbreeding is not a
Yeah.
problem. Let's do this.
I mean, what's so funny is I'm like, let's see what the world would be like under new management. Like, we wouldn't have a two-party system anymore. There probably wouldn't be war in Ukraine. Just let Satan take his hand for a while and see what's up.
Let's see what happens. Let's just crapshoot.
I mean, yeah, because right now you can't do any worse.
No, you can't really. And in all honesty, you can't. The one thing I was gonna say to you, speaking of horror, have you watched any of those where they follow the Walner or Waller family with tapes, the whole 9 yards? What is it, Conjuring, or what is that?
Well, The Conjuring, I've seen all the Conjuring movies.
Yeah, with the family that like the wife can actually like see things and
Yeah.
that's the one with the like nun looking, not the nun looking chick, but like the evil chick that was setting spells on people.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that was awesome at
Well,
the end when she gets fucking tore up.
oh
I
yeah. I
was so
mean,
happy.
James Wan's like the Alfred Hitchcock of the jump scare.
Oh,
He does a really good job. You know, you watch like Insidious when he went back to his low budget roots and made Insidious. Insidious 1 was really good. I mean, you look at that stuff and he really did a good job of creating a total fantasy scenario that works. I mean, there's whenever you know, and the funny thing is, I have to say, even Stranger Things, I really think that the reason why Stranger Things is so popular is because they're antagonists. The whole idea of the upside down, and whether it's the Mind Flayer or Vecna or whoever, the threat in Stranger Things is really interesting. It's really dire, and it's freaky.
yeah.
And it might be it might be an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff, but basically you have a bunch of normal, you know, teenage characters that we all like, and even Winona Ryder and our sheriff, our favorite sheriff, and all that. We like these characters, but the supernatural threat is really fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, they killed what's Bev, you know, they killed her right away. They do not pull their punches, and I think the reason season 4 was such a fan favorite is when people fucking died in that, it was awesome.
Yeah,
They're
it
getting
was.
folded up in the, I mean, when they fucking die and they get twisted up and crunched, I mean, it's fucking great.
That scene in the beginning with the kids, you're just like, Jesus Christ, what did I walk into? Like, you know what I mean? But even that, it was just no pulling the punches. Like, I like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you see that, you buy into it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
Lyrical Lyra 1109 says, Konbanwa, House of the Dead, or House of the Dead, no, House of the Dragon is better than I could have expected. Who knew that great dialogue and acting could be so riveting? I know, go figure, right?
I gotta be honest, I haven't watched any of that.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to watch it, but
I feel no. It's like I want to. It's just every time I go to do it, people are already talking and buzzing about it, so I have to let like time go by so where I don't remember shit, and then
Right.
I'll watch it.
all that, but it works. It'll work.
Yeah.
But this is a good question. However, do you not find creators linking their work to modern day issues off-putting? I'm avoiding creator interviews like the plague. I think that's a good question, and here's what I think, and I really think that this is the problem, and a lot of my fellow YouTubers are always pointing this out. Why is it that just because you're creating a television show or a movie, why do you think that you have the right to tell me whether what I do is right or wrong? Like I'm like
Yeah.
this idea that people they put themselves in these positions, like especially with Star Trek, that I'm in a position where I get to use Star Trek, so now I'm gonna use it to send out the message.
Yeah.
And it's weird to me. I'm like, but why do you think that you have the right to do that to your audience? Like, who put you in a position where you're going to exploit this storytelling medium that you have, this franchise that you have, to tell your viewers what they should and shouldn't do with themselves? It's such a weird thing that creators, I mean, if you want to send a message, you do so within your story and your characters. And you have to make it work within the story. But don't presume to lecture me, because we're equal, bro. I mean, you're making a product that I'm consuming, but we breathe the same air, and you're not better or more knowledgeable than me about social issues of the day. And yet you're trying to tell me that you are. And it's a weird thing, because I'm like, and if your show isn't great, if it's not great, then you've failed me twice, in that you're lecturing me, which you don't have the right to do, and your show sucks.
And you suck at your job. Either
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
You know, Rob, you said something. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
buddy.
You said something on I think maybe it was the last Midnight Musings or the one before that. you said something about the people who are ahead of these franchises of Disney and stuff, not really knowing, or I think you even said it earlier today, but not really knowing what it is they're managing. They're not really invested in these things, and it got me thinking about like when you're talking about how they're trying to almost tell you what to think. You mentioned earlier you have a lot of friends who in this YouTube community who are very, very convinced about this idea that, for example, Disney is trying to brainwash the people into becoming feminists or something through cinema. And I wrote you a letter about this. I don't think you've read it, but maybe this is a bit redundant. But I have this thought about what the root cause of this actually is, and I think, are you aware of the works of Edward Bernays?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know of that guy?
Yes.
Right. He was he's the creator of PR as we know it. He invented PR in order to take.
Marketing.
He was and he was a propagandist during World War One, and he basically wanted to bring the propaganda industry into the peace world, and he then rebranded it to PR. And he was a major part of creating focus group testing. And I'm almost certain that Hollywood and so on have used focus groups to gauge the population of what they're interested in and stuff like that. And nowadays, I think what has happened is that social media has taken the place of focus groups, where Disney can go to Twitter and they can go, hey, can we get a data pack of users who are interested in these kinds of things? Can we just get a collection of information that says what people are interested in and what generates conversations on Twitter? And as anyone who knows Twitter, if you go on there, you can see what generates conversation. It's drama and noisy people who have the time to sit there and complain about anything. So what Disney then sees is that they see people who can't stop talking about, for example, diversity or wokeness and stuff like that. And I think this is exactly why we see Batgirl getting canceled, because Warbirds are probably sitting on data that sees, oh, look at all these social media users that they want the Snyderverse, they want these things. It feels like that is the real root cause of it, not this weird ideological attempt to trying to brainwash people into believing some sort of political system or whatever. It feels like obviously money must be the root cause of it, and then that's sort of where.
I mean, I think you're right about a lot of that, and I think in the case of Batgirl, the problem was, and from what I understand from people that saw the screening on Thursday night, that it just was a glorified CW pilot. And I think that they look at that and they know if they're going to release that film theatrically or put it on HBO Max or whatever, it's going to generate bad word of mouth that is going to diminish the DC brand, which is something they're trying to bolster because the DC brand has been diminished enough. And they have Joker and they have the Batman, 2 movies in the Batman family, both kind of their own thing, but each one of those movies, the Joker on a $65 million budget made over $1 billion. The Batman, Matt Reeves' first Batman movie outgrossed both the first Tim Burton Batman and, of course, Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. And it was a great start to that franchise, very well made. Whether you liked it or not, it's very much top drawer entertainment, really well done. And Batgirl isn't that. And so I think the decision was twofold. They need to save $3 billion, but they also need to protect their Batman brand. And it's been so diminished from so many things over the years that no longer will anybody put up with that. And there's no reason to, if you release a mediocre Batgirl movie that people don't like, first of all, it's not going to make very much money. People aren't going to like it, and it diminishes Warner Brothers and the Batman's brand at the same time. So I think the thought is that with this new regime especially, they're like, we're not going to make anything that doesn't add to our franchise properties. And I think what ends up happening is, you know, in the case of, for instance, Star Trek Nemesis, the last Star Trek The Next Generation movie, Stuart Baird, who directed that film, is one of the great editors in Hollywood history. And he's only directed 2 feature films. One was Executive Decision with Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal, and the other was Star Trek Nemesis. And from what I understand, he came in and he fixed, I think it was Tomb Raider 2. He edited the film knowing that they would give him a directing gig if he came in and fixed this movie. So what they did was they gave him what they thought was the most foolproof movie possible, which is Star Trek, because they never saw Star Trek at the time as a very valuable property, because it was these movies were not made for big money. You know, Star Trek 2 was made for like $11 million, and Star Trek 3, these were all very small budgeted movies. Even Generations and First Contact, they had bigger budgets, but they were still relatively small, especially compared to today. The J.J. Abrams movies went the other direction. They were $200 million movies and $300 with marketing, which was ridiculous. It was ridiculous to try and turn Star Trek into that franchise. But, you know, anyway, that's what they do. And so the Star Trek franchise has never, after Star Trek the Motion Picture, has never been treated like any other movie franchise. It's seen as almost disposable. And J.J. Abrams comes along and makes Star Trek 09, and he wants to get all the marketing and all that. But that movie, nobody gives a fuck about buying action figures of Chris Pine as Kirk or Zachary Quinto as Spock. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. Nobody does. I mean, because they're not real. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are DeForest Kelley, William Shatner, and Leonard Nimoy. You can put the greatest actors in the world playing all those roles. No one's going to believe it, because we watched these Star Trek characters for 40 years, so we know who's real and who's not. So you'll never be able to convince, and all those Star Trek movies were just, they didn't make nearly, I mean, if you're going to spend $200 million on a Star Trek movie, you want it to make $1 billion. Those movies made not even half that. So it was and there was no thought like, how can we advance Star Trek as a genre on the big screen? Well, make a Star Trek movie for $75 million, set in a bunch of rooms on a starship, and make it a political thriller. Make it The Hunt for Red October. I mean, The Hunt for Red October is a great Star Trek movie. Master and Commander is a great Star Trek movie. They're just not Star Trek, but they could be. And when they go make Star Trek 09 and they spend all that money on it, it's a dunderheadedly, that movie is monumentally stupid. I mean stupid from a plot standpoint, character motivation standpoint. A lot of people like it, and I don't begrudge you if you do. But it has one of the dumbest villains in all of science fiction film history. Right. A guy that's mad about his homeworld being destroyed. He goes back in time. He could go right to his homeworld and say, you know what, in 100 years, this star's going to blow up and everybody I love is going to die. Why don't you fix the problem? He doesn't do that because he's stupid. And as an astute viewer, I'm like, boy, you're a dumb villain. But and that's the problem. So you watch, like everybody, we're all astute viewers, and we watch these movies. We wonder to ourselves, why is this movie so dumb? You know, and when you look at franchise like the Mission Impossible franchise keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Because you're seeing smart people who know how to make. I mean, if you look at Top Gun Maverick, that movie is Star Wars. You know, it's literally, they're bombing the Death Star at the end. They're making a trench run, and Chris McQuarrie is probably thinking to himself, because he wrote the script too, he's directing, but he's working with Tom Cruise. I'm sure Chris McQuarrie said, you know what we should do? We should just make Star Wars. And the half the movie, it's going to be Maverick is both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke and Han Solo in the same dude. You know, he's the grizzled old warrior, but he's still got that young hotshot fighter pilot in him, and he's still got that innocence of the person who wanted to go to the military and serve his country. And it'll all be about attacking the Death Star. Literally, we're going to hit a thing at the end. There's a video out. Somebody put out a 3-minute video about that juxtaposes Top Gun and Star Wars. Well, there's a reason for that. It wasn't exactly a big leap, but what a genius idea.
Well,
and
I mean, it's taking that simple blueprint of what made Star Wars so great, and it's all right. We're going to do our own take on it and use the same blueprint and see what we get.
And the people that actually make the real Star Wars, once again, J.J. Abrams, they don't understand that. And it's really frustrating, we as fans. Well, gentlemen, it was great to have you both on. I'm going to switch out some people, see if anybody else wants to come on the show.
Hey, before you go, have
Yeah.
you watched the Terminal List yet?
I have watched the Terminal List. I just finished it. I loved it.
So good.
I don't understand. It's so weird to me. I'm like, did you guys not watch like military spy fiction growing up?
Oh, I love
You know, it follows in a long. People are telling, well, it's a right wing fantasy. I'm like, why? Just because it's about the military?
Oh my goodness.
You know, there's a long tradition of that. I'm a huge Tom Clancy fan. I mean, I read all the Jack Ryan novels, and watching The Terminal List was like watching a great conspiracy thriller meets action film. It was great.
It is great. I mean, like in my line of work, I get to work with a lot of the guys who served, and it's an awesome, blessing that I get to learn from them in the field. And I got to tell you what, even they say the authenticity. What I appreciate about movies that are really good at it is the authenticity of how realistic it can get.
And you can feel it in the movie when you're watching it.
Yeah.
They carried. Well, I want to say thank you, Alex, for all the work you do, and Robin, all the way from Norway. Thanks for coming on to Midnight Musings.
Can I also just show you a quick thing before we
Absolutely.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I got it right over here.
Okay. I love when people show me stuff. Here, while you're doing that.
Rob, will you ever come out to Chicago? I'll make sure.
Chicago's one of my favorite cities. I'll just say that Wraith X7 says the car was terrifying. Yes, it was, especially when I was 10. Tom Jr. Jackson, hello, Tom, says, what book has been adapted best in a film of any genre, and what would you like to see adapted? Well, I mean, I think The Shawshank Redemption is an incredible adaptation of the book. Clockwork Orange is an incredible adaptation of a book. There are two things I would, off the top of my head, I want to see adapted. Donna Tartt's The Secret History and Dan Simmons' Hyperion. Hyperion Cantos. John Weilbecker says, regarding creators putting in messages, it isn't about lecturing you, it's about telling their perspective. Ask Gene Roddenberry about it. That was his MO. Well, of course it was his MO, but the thing about Gene Roddenberry was he presented a situation, he set it up for you to consider it, but he never told you what you were supposed to think. He gave you the situation, and he hoped that you would draw the same conclusion that he had, but he left it open for your interpretation and your own. He assumed the audience would be smart enough to come to the same conclusion he had already come to, but he allowed. What's that?
That's the key right there, is what you just said, is the interpretation is up for debate.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It doesn't point you in one direction. It opens it up for a conversation. Is this right or is it wrong? Like, I think the good directors, the three directors that do it the best right now are Nolan, Villeneuve, and Spielberg, where they just leave it up to interpretation. Like, is this right or is it wrong?
I mean, they have a point of view. And they're presenting, I mean, a story. If you're a storyteller and you're telling a story, you hope an audience will get out of the story what you hope they would get. But also a great story has a lot of wiggle room for the viewer or the experience, the reader or the watcher, to bring some of themselves into the story as well. And I mean, and what I find interesting too is we all know what it's like to live in the real world.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, as the viceroy of verisimilitude, the idea of verisimilitude only means the quality of being real. So when you're watching a story, you want characters to act like they live in the real world. You want their decisions, whether they're good decisions or bad decisions, to be understandable to we might not agree with them, but we should understand why the character made that decision, for better or for worse. We don't want the decision to feel forced or unbelievable.
Agreed.
And I think that, again, you can take all the writing classes that you want, but it doesn't help you tell a great story. So I'm sorry, Alex, pardon me, Robin, what did you want to show us?
Right. So, I know you're an avid figure collector. We got a couple of things in common in that sense. I don't have as many figures as you, but you do keep stealing my Shuttle Bay parking spot. So we got to talk about that some other time. But that's besides the point here. I just wanted to show you in a little figure that I've had since my childhood, and it's not as fancy as the Hot Toy stuff. But look at this thing. Isn't this awesome?
That now
This little,
is that an official Jurassic Park figure?
yeah, this is from the Lost World, and it's rubberized, so this feels like real skin, and it's just I've always really loved this figure. It's like
But it looks real.
yeah, right, exactly. It looks real. It feels well done, and it's even been in a museum actually. Because a friend of mine or a friend of my mother's was gonna run some sort of toy museum, so it was
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to show this because we don't see a lot of dinosaurs on the show.
What's great about that figure is that the size is good.
It is pretty big,
and the movement is good, and it's painted realistically. So
yes,
that is a great representation of a dinosaur. And when you have my philosophy of collecting toys or figures of any kind is you want the best iteration, the best version. So if you want a Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever, you want the best looking Tyrannosaurus Rex
exactly
for your room or whatever, and that's a great toy. That's a great looking
It's a
figure.
good one, and it has a little Lego figure inside of it, something that I put inside many years ago. So that's that'll probably never come out. But yeah, thanks for having me on your show. Hope to see you again sometime. That would be
this
really
was
fun.
great, and Alex, thanks for working on the channel. And Robin, it was great to see you all the way from Norway.
Yeah. You have a good rest of the show, and I'll be watching.
All right, I will talk to you guys later. Great to have you. So let's see, everyone. I don't know if anybody's there. Let's see who's around. James Patrick is here, and James, are you ready to come on the show? I love your shirt, dude. Occupy Mars, that shit's dope. And our friend Donnie, all the way from Canada. It's been a long time, Donnie. Oh my God, we're gonna have this will be good. Let me Donnie, it's been a while. I'm gonna get you on. This is gonna be fun. So let's see who we got here. First of all, we've got somebody that I don't know, James Patrick Quinn. James, you're getting in the center square there. And hang on, let me put you in the center square. And I just want to point out that he has an Occupy Mars shirt on. And anybody who's got that's, I would imagine, I hope you're a For All Mankind fan. But that's cool. And of course, Donnie, it's been a long time. And Donnie, you never fail to, Donnie is, by the way, a hot toy collector. And I'll be curious to see what you've added to the collection. Donnie comes to us from Canada. He's been on the show before. Hang on, let me just make sure. James, can I hear you? Can you speak? I can't hear your voice for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. I can't hear you yet. Oh, wait, everybody's gone. Boom, look at that. I was showing pictures. So, Donnie, I don't know why I can't hear you, but I'll leave you there till you can get on. I'm not going to.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right.
First of all, Donnie, what are we drinking tonight? You haven't been here for a while. Tell people where you're coming to us from.
Canada's capital, Ottawa. Drinking beer like I always do.
And what beer are you drinking tonight?
James ready, because I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. You know what? Since you're drinking beer, I'm going to open up my New Belgium Imperial IPA. And
cheers, my friend.
9%.
Do it.
Oh, I hope I didn't just I screwed up that. So wait, we still can't hear you, James. I don't know why. But I'm going to leave you on till you figure it out. There's something, you just have to trip one thing. I'll leave you on. So Donnie, but don't worry, James, I'm not kicking you out because you haven't been here before and I want to find out all there is to know about you. So Donnie, what's been going on? What's been happening with you? By the way, did you send in, you were going to try out to be in a film, right?
Well, no, I want to be Puck.
I know you want to be Puck. We got to talk about Alpha Flight because I think Alpha Flight's coming. I have no reason to believe that, but I think
if you get any insider information, you hit me up first.
Jesus, my dog Gilbert just farted, and it is not. I'm gonna pass out. It's so bad. But I have not heard. Yeah, it's terrible. I have not heard one way or another. I know we're gonna get you to be Puck. You should be Puck. You were destined to be Puck.
Alpha Flight's definitely just going to be a series. It's not going to be a movie.
I don't know, man. I mean, it probably will be a series, but I would love. The only reason I think it's going to be a movie is because if you have Sasquatch, Marina, Puck,
Mm.
these are some movie sized effects. Movie sized effects. By the way, we all know Anonymous has sent in a tip and says, since someone we all know says Picard season 3 is phenomenal, he's apparently seen it twice already. Do we need to see season 2 first? I only saw the first 2 episodes before stopping. Oh, I think we've got you. I think we can hear James. Okay, I don't know. I will say this about Picard season 3.
I'll say this about James: he keeps a clean bed.
Yeah, it's nice. You do not have to have seen. There are callbacks in Star Trek Picard season 3 to seasons 1 and 2, but you don't have to have seen them. The thing about Star Trek Picard season 3, it is truly the sequel to The Next Generation, 35 years on, and to a certain extent Deep Space Nine, but I'm not going to explain that. And I think people will love it. People will come, Ray. People will definitely come. So I would never in good conscience recommend any Next Generation fan watch Star Trek Picard seasons 1 or 2. Ever. No matter what. And if you like Star Trek Picard season 1 and 2, God bless you. I would never want to make you not.
It's because of you that I'm deterred from that Star Trek stuff.
I give Star Trek Picard season 3 is so much fun to watch. It's like watching a 10-hour long Next Generation movie. By the way, the best Next Generation movie.
So I haven't seen season 1 or 2 of Picard. Can I just go and watch season 3, have a good time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The only thing it'll open in Picard Chateau, or wait, should I even say that? And he talks to a character that you were introduced to in Picard. It doesn't matter because they go away.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, Donnie. How's the Hot Toys collection coming?
Oh, it's been at a low. I'm not gonna lie. I've been getting some Mezcos. I got shit, man. When was the last? It's been more than 6 months or something since we last.
It has been a while. You look good. You look good though. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm good, but I might look good, but I got man titties and a beer belly, so that could go away, but
that could be alleviated if we stop drinking the hooch. Get off the hooch.
Yeah, this is the problem right here. Yeah.
Yeah, you swim more. So I don't know, James, if we can hear you yet.
You guys hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, shit. Cool.
But
is there any echo? Whatever?
Yeah, there's a little bit of an echo, like you're not close to a mic, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm using the internal microphone on my Mac right now.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good right now.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
My headphones don't work for some reason, so.
No worries, it's all good. Okay, James, since this is the first time you've been here, right?
Yes.
Okay, I got to ask you, I ask everyone, where are you coming to us from right now?
I am from Atlanta, Georgia.
I like Atlanta, Georgia. So, where? I mean, I don't know the city very well, but Atlanta, of course, is the home of Dragon Con, which is coming up, right?
I was going to ask you about Dragon Con too. Before I was going to come on, I'll ask you about it.
Yeah, I've been to Dragon Con. I was the guest of honor there 20 years ago when Free Enterprise came out.
Wait, can you elaborate what Dragon Con is? I've never heard of this.
Okay, well, James can tell you, but I would say this. Dragon Con is one of the great, whereas Comic-Con in San Diego and New York Comic-Con are full of media and very corporate events. Dragon Con is probably the best fan. I mean, you've got alternative lifestyles, you've got fan stuff. It's really a convention that it has kept its fan origins intact. At least that's the
so
way
I feel like a dummy. I feel like a dumbass. It has nothing to really do with like people dressing up as dragons, because that's what I thought.
No, they dress up the costumes at Dragon
But it's not
Con.
just strictly dragons.
No, it's just but it's a great. And if you're a fan of Jonathan Mayberry's Joe Ledger series, one of the books climaxes at Dragon Con, and lots of people get killed, and it's awesome. So
like a Nine Inch Nails concert.
Well, kind of, yeah, I guess so. But Dragon Con still has it definitely has a fan run vibe about it, as opposed to the very corporate money. I mean, Dragon Con it's I don't know. How would you describe it, James?
Well, the cool thing about Dragon Con is that it's like 24 hours of programming, and it takes place in like 5 host hotels instead of in a convention center. So it's like a giant Halloween party sleepover. That's how I would describe it. So, yeah,
and there's really a lot. I think a lot more people get laid at Dragon Con than any other convention.
No, they get slayed.
That too. But no, I mean, Dragon Con, and also, I mean, you can find anything you want. All of fandom is represented at Dragon Con, whatever your niche is, and also some of the cosplay is the most creative. There's a lot of
So it's basically a Comic-Con without the Hasbro's, Mattels, and all these toy corporations showing up.
Well, they're there. I mean, stuff like that's there, but it does the emphasis is more on the fans, you know, and the fan interests.
And it's a little less crowded too. I think. Well, one year it was like 85,000 people, but they put a cap of people this year due to like COVID and whatever. I think this year they're doing like 60,000 people. Last year they did like 40,000 people. So
James, I got to ask you, what is your fan jam? Obviously, you're a fan of the space program.
I do like space.
What do you think? I mean, NASA's launching a gigantic fucking rocket on Monday. You know,
yeah,
Artemis is going. I mean, they're really planning on getting back to the moon. Do you think they're going to do it?
Well, I was gonna like check out the rocket site. I was planning on seeing the Artemis launch for Artemis 1.
Yeah.
But I don't have time for that. I'm hoping to see the rocket launch for the first manned Artemis.
Oh, you mean you actually gonna go to watch the launch?
Yeah. But this Artemis 1, it's an unmanned. It's just stuff. So
wait, is that Florida?
Yeah, it's Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, Cape. They're launching it from, and it's the biggest rocket they've launched since Saturn V.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunately NASA is still bogged down with its bureaucracy, and I mean it's really interesting because I hear a lot of people complaining about NASA, but then I'm like, have you seen the James Webb Telescope? I mean, it might have taken a long time, but the James Webb Telescope's doing some amazing things. It's already changing our yeah. I mean, come on. The James Webb Telescope, that shit, they already are identifying carbon dioxide in the atmospheres of exoplanets. I'm like, I'm telling you, there's and it's only been operational and calibrated for a couple of months. So I think that I'm expecting great things from the James Webb Telescope. Not that we haven't already been getting.
The thing about the James Space Telescope is that I think the Hubble Space Telescope, like the deep field, it took like a couple of weeks to capture that whole image. Yeah, but for the James Webb Space Telescope, it took like a couple of days, maybe even like less than a day.
Yeah,
I think so.
And it saw like really a lot. Seeing the difference between the two was, I have to tell you, I was actually when the Hubble Deep Field photograph, they had it in it was in National Geographic magazine, and I want to say it would probably be in 1997, and I was working on the Star Trek Experience. I was editing all of the videos that you saw when you went through the Star Trek Experience in Las Vegas. It's not there anymore. It was an $80 million attraction, and it was the only time in my life I had a truly psychological problem. Like I was literally I was trying to work on this Star Trek thing that I love, but looking at that deep field picture, I had such an existential crisis. Like for a week, I couldn't function.
It is weird. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm contemplating what it all means and how big. it's one speck of sand, all the way. The vast amount. I just couldn't. It really became like I couldn't. I literally I couldn't stop thinking about it. How insignificant all of us are. I had to go through a whole process, and seeing that the Hubble telescope gets smoked by James Webb, and you see the details. I mean, it's even more mind-boggling. But now I've already come to grips.
Yeah. One of my favorite science fiction TV shows is Cosmos by Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's one of my favorites. I remember watching that when I was in middle school. That was so cool.
Well, that's actually a sequel series.
Yeah, to the Carl Sagan
to the
one.
Carl Sagan one, which is I watched. I would assume I'm older than you by a large margin, and that Cosmos show was fucking great. But I love Neil deGrasse and Brandon Braga, and Seth MacFarlane. So it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy, Orville, Seth MacFarlane, and Brandon Braga, Star Trek: The Next Generation. They did.
There's one thing I want to say. Oh,
yes, sir.
You and John, you guys talk about the Oscars and your favorite hosts and this and that. My favorite host of all time was Seth MacFarlane for the Oscars.
Oh yeah, he was great. I thought
he was the best. And I remember this was months back. I'm not knocking on John, but John was saying he has no movie or he has no movie theater or experience. The guy No, I felt like John was wrong. The guy knows everything with pop culture related, music, movies, everything. Yeah. And I loved how he shat on everybody in a good way. He killed it. It was like Ricky Gervais at the fucking Golden Globes.
No, it's true. He was good. By the way,
I'm watching the Orville now. I love it. It's man.
The third season's great. We have a super chat coming in from G Money, and G Money says, "Things that keep me up at night. Why didn't they make a great Matrix 4? And will I see a beautiful Akira live action? And who could pull it off? Love you." Okay, let me ask you guys this: have you seen? First of all, are you Matrix fans? Do you like the Matrix?
I was after 4 came out.
See, it's funny because I really liked Matrix 4.
Sorry. I meant I was, and then I saw number 4.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't. I just saw, to me, the Matrix 4 is about, becoming middle-aged. I really related to Matrix 4, and I think it was a great sequel to the Matrix? Probably not, but I did appreciate its point of view. James, are you a Matrix?
It felt like John Wick on acid.
All right, James, wait a minute. Hang on. I'm going to come back to you, Donnie. James, did you like the Matrix?
I did love the first Matrix. I haven't seen the second or the third one. I should probably get around to it. Is the fourth...
maybe you shouldn't.
Maybe I shouldn't? Okay.
Yeah,
the fourth one is the newest one, though, right?
Yeah.
That's the one from...
If you haven't seen Matrix 2 and 3, you might have a better experience with... The thing about Matrix 4 is it's not... The problem with it's not really a Matrix movie. It has some of the stuff in it, but even the way it was shot, if you listen to Lily Wachowski talk about how she shot the film, it was very... she learned a lot about filmmaking when they made Sense8, the series Sense8 that they worked on. And it was very... the first Matrix was it was all storyboarded, almost every shot. Everything was very planned out. And there wasn't a lot of room for spontaneity in it. And Matrix 4 is a movie that was very haphazard in terms of a lot of it was improvised. I mean, there's a script, but a lot of it was very freeform. And so Lily had completely changed her filmmaking style from when they did The Matrix to when they did Matrix 4. And a lot of people didn't dig the story because it wasn't very Matrixy, if that makes sense, which I totally get it. But so what are James,
I love the trilogy.
Yeah, I do. But so James, what is your sci-fi? What is your geek jam? What do you dig? What do you love?
Ooh, Well, I do like Marvel. I do like DC. I think my first fandom that I was like really really into was Adventure Time. That was like my jam. I
Okay.
love cartoon stuff. I was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
into that.
So
But
that's
yeah.
good. Okay, that's how was that your gateway drug into fandom?
In some ways, yeah. I remember my first year of Dragon Con was in 2014, I think, and that was the year that some of the actors from Adventure Time went to that year, and I just like was like obsessed with Adventure Time, and Adventure Time led me into
Mm.
Steven Universe. It led me to like different Cartoon Network shows, which I really love. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's now with your Occupy Mars shirt. I mean, you're talking about going to see an Artemis launch. What made you? Why real space? And do you support the space program as a NASA as a extension of our own government? Do you think a lot of people are like, why are we spending money on the space program when we should be spending it here on Earth? How do you feel about the space program?
Well, I just think it's just like very important to like see what's out there really.
I
Like
agree.
I don't want to like stay on Earth forever. Like eventually we will have to like, venture out into different planets, to venture out to different solar systems, because the sun is gonna explode eventually. And if we're still around, we gotta make some plans, And
Right.
there's also other threats too, like asteroids, like crashing land on Earth. Like you've seen Don't Look Up, like that could happen. Theoretically, it could happen. A comet just like could hit us, and we would never know. But we do know because we have the space program to like, and we also listen to like scientists and like astrophysicists to like help us direct ourselves to like avoid a collision course. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I just think it's very important to understand that.
I'm with you 100%. And by the way, our friend Nathan Trujillo, who's a member of the channel, who actually won a hot toy, Donnie, Nathan won the Gladiator Hulk from Ragnarok hot toy.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty nice, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I have a
And
hot toy. I want to show you real quick,
Show
if
me
you
the
don't
hot
mind.
toy. Go get, yeah, and you know it's funny because I didn't have any Ragnarok. One of the friend of the channel sent it to me, sent me and I have one too. I slept. Oh, let's see what James has here. Oh, look at that.
I have the Avengers 1 Hulk hot
Now,
toy.
yeah, now that Infinity War, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, this is it. This is my first hot toy.
I have that figure right behind me. I love that hot toy. That is a great figure, and I love all the magic accessories he comes with. All the spells.
Yeah,
That's
like a lot of different hands and a lot of different spell casting too. Really
so when you finally got your hot toy, what did you think of it? Do you think hot toys are overrated, or did you dig it?
They are expensive. My parents
That's an
appreciate
understatement.
that. Yeah, they got me this for Christmas, which was really cool. And I think hot toys are really cool.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get some others so I could have them fight each other and stuff like that. 'Cause I really wanna,
Look, that
Oh,
that's
he's got the bug, man. He's got the hot toy bug.
yeah,
He's
man.
doomed.
I all I can tell you is that you're fucked.
You're
you
fucked,
start,
dude. You opened up that bag of chips, man.
it's a
You
compulsion.
can't just have one.
It's a compulsion. But
I've heard you have the like the whole Avengers team like posed in your office or something like that.
Yeah, I did. I'm putting them. I've been moving stuff like the Robservatory is. I'm actually rebuilding my Modu cases. So I've got these Modu cases, and I'm taking them apart and building them up as so Modu cases are display cases, and they're module. So.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is rebuilding them into 3 levels of one long thing, because that's all I can fit in here. But yeah, so what I can't wait to do, and I've wanted to do this, and I've been waiting 2 years because this throne that I bought, this Thanos throne, I have all 3 Thanos hot toys. And I've got the Infinity War Thanos who actually snaps his fingers. So I'm going to have this triptych in the middle of my Avengers display because I want it to look like a movie poster, and I'll have Warrior Thanos with his weapon that's going to be sitting in the throne. Then I'm gonna have sad, defeated Thanos who's like crying with he'll be on his knees with his Infinity Gauntlet, missing the stones because they've been taken by Tony. And then I'm gonna have snapping Thanos, and then I'm gonna have all the other villains like the Red Skull and Ultron and Loki surrounding them. And then I'm gonna put all of my Avengers figures because I recently acquired Quicksilver. I needed Quicksilver from Age of Ultron. But yeah, I've got so I'm gonna have the top layer of this new Module Case display is gonna have all of my Avengers. And the thing is, this is so ridiculous, but so the problem with Hot Toys is they make a lot of iterations of the same character. So it's like, okay, are you gonna buy the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness Doctor Strange when it's pretty much the same as the Infinity War Doctor Strange? It just comes with different stuff. So you have to decide, like, I don't know, because there's a lot of people like Justin, who I love, Justin from Justin's Collection, who buys everything. He gets everything. But for me, as somebody who's going to die soon, I can't justify buying all the Hot Toys. So it's gotten to the point where, and plus I buy a lot of Hot Toys, or a lot of 6-scale figures that aren't Hot Toys. Like Exo-6 is doing their Star Trek line, and I buy random third-party figures, and so it's like, for instance, Justin gave me this figure. This is Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible Fallout. It's a third-party figure. It's a good figure. And then this figure over here is another third-party figure of Superman from Kingdom Come, which is an amazing figure. But I'm going to put that in my Module Case along with the Wonder Woman with the big golden armor, because that's from, even though it was in Wonder Woman 84. So it's a crazy thing collectors do. We're all nuts.
I looked up, you were on the Campia show. I forget the company, but the Maestro Hulk with all the...
Oh, dude.
What studio is that?
That's XM Studios.
Yo, I looked that up once you mentioned that on the Campia show. Holy shit. I'm not a statue collector.
But I want that so bad.
Yo, the symbiote in the fucking... in the chambers, like the detail, holy shit.
Dude.
And all the helmets of everybody, Doom, Nova, blah, blah, but you know.
So for those of you who don't know, XM Studios is making they're making a statue of the Maestro, and the Maestro is the old Hulk from the Peter David. Is it Peter David? Did he write it? And George Perez drew it, I think. So the Maestro.
George Perez drew that?
I want to say, well, George Perez drew, I think that it's a 2-issue prestige format series. Is it called I forget what it's called, but the Maestro is the old Hulk who's taken over the world and killed every superhero and supervillain. And so this statue, it's $3,500, and it's quarter scale. So, and it's of the Maestro sitting on his throne. It's the head of a sentinel. You know, and if you look at it, he's got.
Yeah, I was scrolling through, and the back of it is the head.
Is the sentinel, and he's killed all the superheroes, and he's got like Silver Surfer's surfboard. He's killed the symbiotes are in these containers. He's killed Iron Man. He's killed Doctor Strange.
Yo, you name it, he's got it.
He's got it. He's got Captain America's shield, and it's like if you know it, it's the greatest thing ever. Now, even I don't know how I could justify $3,500 on a statue. Even
Me neither.
But it's fucking dope. Yeah, I know. It's like you're laughing like 35. But I'll tell you something. If you pay it off over time, it's like, it's like you go out to the bar every night. Oh, just take my money. Instead of buying double Jamesons at a bar, I'll just be like, oh, okay, here's $50 to my statue. It's.
But I'm not a statue guy. I like my figure. I like my shit to articulate.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But that
yes, that is worthy. But the price
is worthy. It's so expensive.
The price tag is, yeah.
I mean, it's cool, but it's $3,500. I mean, I got a mortgage to pay. It's like, fuck.
You could buy a used car for that.
I know. It's true. All right, gentlemen, let me ask you both. First of all, I mean, I would ask you, James, what are some of the things like? What are the things you're watching right now that you really like?
Ooh, well, I've been watching House of the Dragon, and I thought the first episode was really cool.
Really
I watched
cool.
it with my parents. I haven't seen
I'm
the
getting a soda pop.
You watched it with
though.
your parents?
I did. I did.
Wow, and
It's
how? What was that like?
it's well,
Mhm.
it's kind of a thing for like young people to watch Game of Thrones with their parents, and like it's kind of like a thing to like hide away or like awkwardly like not look at the screen or whatever. But I just pretend like it's not even happening, and I'm just scrolling through Twitter like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. I just completely ignore that they're in the room. They completely ignored me that I'm in there in the room with them. So, but it's a really cool show though. I like it. I like it.
Yo, do you feel weird watching sex scenes with your parents?
What's up?
Watching sex scenes, like watching Game of Thrones, and
Well, yeah, I mean,
your
like
parents are there.
Matt Smith was full on having sex with a woman he didn't finish, and I mean, it's graphic. House of the Dragon episode 1 was graphic. To watch it with your parents,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
My mom is really open-minded, but I get uncomfortable watching something and there's like people having sex on the screen, and I'm there with her watching it.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, and there's a lot of violence in that too. By the way, I wanted to.
So wait, his nuts some guy's nuts did get
Dude.
chopped off, right?
Yeah, and they showed it. That was
Wait, was
brutal.
that the dick? Was that dick or nuts?
No,
that
I
was
think
nuts.
I think it was nuts, dude. It was.
I didn't realize it was like balls or a penis. I thought it was like something else. I didn't know it was.
Yeah.
I think he cut off the coin first.
Yeah, it was really brutal. Dude, I can't even. Now let me ask you guys. G Money asked about Akira in live action.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, Rob, we forgot that second part of the question.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Akira. First of all, I got to ask James: have you seen the Japanese animated film from 1988, Akira?
Is this the James Cameron movie, or am I thinking of something else?
No, that's something else. That was
else?
Alita Battle Angel.
Alita.
Yeah, Akira's if you've seen it, they've been trying to make Akira into a live action movie forever. And like Keanu Reeves,
the famous red motorcycle.
Yeah, which I have over there actually in 6 scale. To answer G Money's question, I don't know that they can pull off a live action Akira movie and make it satisfying, because by definition the lead characters are high school, they're gang members, and Akira would be so expensive to make that I just don't know if anybody. I mean, Taika Waititi was taking a run at it. I don't know if they could do it.
I'll say this: Judge Dredd or Dredd movie.
Mm-hmm.
Make it like whoever did that kind of style, producer, studios, like that. There you go.
I could see that. I mean, but Akira's got such scope, and it's such a weird. And the animated film, I've got the box set of the manga. The movie just represents a very small fraction of the actual story. So I don't know. I mean, that's a tough call. I don't know.
It's really plausible. I wouldn't say it's that tall of an order to pull off.
I don't know. I don't know where you'd shoot it. There's so much virtual stuff. I mean, you could do it. It could definitely be done. I just don't know if anybody would want to do it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, if they made Speed Racer,
I know, which I loved. I'm a huge Speed Racer advocate.
That was a poke to you.
I know. I mean, I know, and I'm a big fan. G Money says, "Oh, you missed my last super chat." No, we knew you were there. I got you. G Money says,
so who would you cast though? Who would you cast as Akira?
Oh, man, it would be tough. I mean, Kaneda and Tetsuo. To me, the funny thing about it is, I don't think Akira works in the United States. Like, they want to change it and bring it to the U.S. and I don't think it works. I just don't think
It's like what they did with that Dragon Ball terrible movie.
Yeah, they can't. It's
I've
so.
seen
I
that.
mean, Hollywood has not figured out how to make movies that are like Bullet Train, set in Japan. You know, you look at it and you're like, it's a total ridiculous fantasy, which is fun. It's fun, but it clearly. I mean, I'd love to see Akira approached with a very. Well, I want to see verisimilitude. I want to see a naturalistic approach to Akira, but I don't know. It's. I mean, you'd have to go if you could find a James Cameron or a Christopher Nolan or somebody like that, the John Wick directors or something. But you still need. It's not just the action; it's the story that's being told too. So.
Yep. Yeah, you can have all the glitz and glamour, but story is the first thing that matters.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Stubble McShave, always blowing our minds, Stubble says, I'm fascinated by neutron stars. It's a collapsed star of packed neutrons, and 1 teaspoon of a neutron star, 1 teaspoon, weighs 1 billion tons. It boggles the mind.
I'm trying to fathom that. What?
I can't even. 1 teaspoon of a neutron star weighs 1 billion tons. You know, you get into these kinds of cosmic physics. I can't even grasp it. Can't even grasp it.
Awesome. Crazy.
It's crazy. G Money goes on to say Taika Waititi apparently is doing a live action Akira after Love and Thunder. He's been developing it. I don't know if he's going to do it. I'm worried. I think I'd rather see Nolan or Darren Aragon do it. Probably Darren Aronofsky. I want it dark and emotional. Who would you choose and what's the tone?
Who? Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Well, I think that the tone of Akira, that's a really good question because you would have to decide, do you want to make it realistic and gritty? Do you want to lean into the fantasy elements of it? Do you want to keep I mean, in my mind, you have to go, you know, it's got to be Blade Runner meets Ready Player One meets...
I was going to say, get the director of Blade Runner 2049.
That's Denis Villeneuve. He could do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if he would. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Akira has politics in it. It has education and gang members in it. It has super science in it. It has mysticism in it. It's tough. I don't know. The problem is if they make it here, if it ever gets made in America, they will lean into the gang aspects of it, and they will not lean into the more political aspects of it, and it would hurt the property. I honestly don't know if anybody should remake Akira in live action. Maybe readapt the manga and go back and readapt it the way it was originally done, but I don't know if there's any way to make Akira in live action and not fuck it up.
If it does happen, who gets it? Sony, Netflix, Warner. Like,
I think Warner Brothers owns it. But again,
okay.
I'm not convinced that even if you made Akira, the problem with a lot of these properties that they're known IPs. They go to make them, and I think Japanese anime is fighting an uphill battle to be turned into live action stuff because whether it's Alita Battle Angel or anything else, your audience is kind of limited because your average American moviegoer doesn't know these films. You know, they don't know what Akira is, and the animated movie came out 34 years ago.
But the animated, I'm not a big anime fan. I love certain things, but I'm not a diehard. But there is a lot of fans out there. Look at the Dragon Ball movie that just came out.
Oh, I know, big.
So
money.
I think that, yeah. So if it's done right, that movie could sell.
But you have to make that movie for $200 million, and does it have that many fans? It probably does, actually. But man, I wouldn't want to be the dude trying to make Akira into a live action movie. I think it's too daunting. I don't know if you can do it. And also, I'm not convinced that the storyline, at least as portrayed in the animated feature, is even something that would work here in the West. I don't know if it would.
So what? You got to make it 18A kind of thing, or?
No, I mean, I don't know. I I don't know. I think it needs what'll happen is the only way to make Akira in America is to start changing it. And when you start changing it, you dumb it down. And this happens on so many different movies. You have to pare it down to reach a certain page count and get a certain a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no guarantee whether the movie even should or could get made. And then suddenly it's getting made, and no one working on the project even really knows how to do it. They hire a hotshot director, and he's like, yeah, I'll get it done. Even the director's like, I don't fucking know. Like, well, what? Akira? How am I going to make that shit work? I don't know.
Well, Warner Brothers has fucking, Zaslav now.
Yeah, I mean,
who knows?
I think Akira needs a really strong directorial hand to be a hugely difficult movie to make. So
I'll say this: we'll get an Akira movie. Or a series.
I mean, I could see it.
It's gonna happen.
I could see it. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. G Money says, sorry for the multiple questions and comments. I love the show, Rob. G Money, you never have to apologize if you're sending in support to this channel. We just appreciate it. And thank you so much. I very much appreciate that. And you had good questions and comments, and that's always a good thing. Shogun Orta says, to me, the Akira story is just too vague. Like Blade Runner, it's a very good, it's a very mood movie. But the comics are not as vague. The movie is kind of vague, but the comics are a lot less vague. The manga, the original manga. And I think you could get away with doing that, maybe. Maybe. But, it's hard to say. So what about you guys? I think I'm going to bring this stream to a close. Do you have
I'll
any
say a few.
Yes, go ahead, Don. Okay.
Sorry.
So, James, some final words. Tell us about Dragon Con. Do you cosplay, by the way?
I do cosplay. Dragon Con is coming up later this weekend, or next weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
And usually it falls on my birthday. My birthday is August 30th, and sometimes the weekend for Dragon Con falls on my birthday.
And how old I probably shouldn't ask this question because I'm just gonna want to kill myself. But how old are you?
I'm gonna guess he's 24.
I am turning 20 this Tuesday.
Wow,
20.
dude! Congratulations, good for you.
Thank you.
You made it this far. Now, what do you cosplay? What is your favorite? What are your favorite things to cosplay? Favorite characters.
Favorite characters? I dressed up as Pikachu for several years. Between when Pokemon Go was like a huge thing. I remember dressing up with him during 2016, 2017. During 2021, it was like right after the TV show Loki, right?
Right.
And one of the hotels at Dragon Con is used in Loki. And I remember dressing up as Pikachu, but making him look like Loki. And a bunch of other cosplayers were dressing up as Loki variants at Dragon Con to make it look like we were all in the TVA, which is really cool.
That's really cool. I love that. I love that. Okay, Donnie, what were you going to say?
Okay, I'll say before I was.
Uh-oh. Did you guys both freeze? No, you're not frozen. Donnie froze, although look at that. Look at mid-action. He's about to emphasize a point. And that was it. James, let me ask you a question. Philosophically, the key to good cosplay is we got you back, Donnie. Is it a direct is great cosplay a direct adaptation, or you try and get it as accurate as possible to say the movie, or is there wiggle room? Can you do an interpretation of that character?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely wiggle room with it. I think it would be pretty hard to get it exactly how it is in movies and TV shows. I think it's better to have wiggle room because it shows like what your interpretation of it in the cost, and like what materials you have used and how you made it out of nothing, And I agree. Just think adding cool spins, like combining different fandoms together, I think it's just like really unique.
I agree. If you could do, what is your dream cosplay? What would be the thing that you'd love to do if you had the time and the money?
I remember one year at Dragon Con, there was this guy dressed up as a transformer. It was like he used like metal car parts
Wow.
on his hand, on his arms, and he was like walking around, and he could fold himself into a transformer. I thought that was really, really cool. So,
Yeah, that is really cool. Donnie, any parting words?
Okay, so I was gonna say cosplay. I was at a Montreal Comic Con, and I did Bob the Goon.
Yep.
Purple leather jacket with the patches, everything.
Sure.
Um,
That would be from Tim
and
Burton's
also,
Batman.
Pardon?
oh,
Tim Burton's Batman, Bob the Goon, played
Exactly,
by
Bob the Goon.
Lori Walters.
Bob Gunn.
You said Bob the Goon. I was confused. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Bob the
Yeah.
Goon, Lori Walters.
And then I did Mankind. But yeah, like being a short dude, it's really hard to friggin' I can't put on a Superman suit or a Spider-Man suit, right? So I got to find things in my jurisdiction or whatever you want to
Right.
call it.
Bob the Goon's good
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, exactly. Like yeah.
Have you ever cosplayed Puck?
No, I'm still putting pieces of that suit together.
Because I would imagine that if you did, depending on how good it is, if you got out there, maybe somebody would be like, "Oh no, we have to get this guy."
Yeah, the only thing is, like, I can't do like cartwheels and like barrel rolls like he does in the comics.
That's what CG's for.
Yeah, and wire pulling teams.
Yeah, they'll do that. I love it.
But and then, so speaking of Comic-Con, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. But this is what I wanted to show you. So I was at Montreal Comic-Con. There was a whole bunch of guests. T1000. Robert.
Yeah, that's right, Robert Patrick. Yep.
Robert Patrick. Thank you. Yes, there was a big lineup, and then I was asking the security, whatever. Hey, can I just stand in line and just say hello to him and not buy a signature or a photo? It's like, no, you got to. They changed it. It's fucking ridiculous. You can't stand in line now for certain celebrities or whatever just to say hello for 2 seconds, shake their hand. You got to be in line to buy something, which is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So I see the lineup, and I'm outside the line, and I'm just like, I yell out, Robert. He looks up, and I'm like, I love you, and then I do the T wave,
Right.
and he's like, he points at me and he gives me a thumbs up, and I'm like, all right. He acknowledged me for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was good. It was
but
the
it-
finger
but-
wave that did it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I went there for Kevin Eastman,
Oh wow.
and fuck, his line was huge. Anyways, I got him to do a personal sketch for me.
Wow.
Oh, that's
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, he signed. Yeah, so I paid for the signature. Like, I gave the signature was $20, but I had to pay a little. I had to pay more. I'm not going to say what I did,
Yeah, but
but
that's
he was
worth
so sweet. He was a sweet person. He waited for every fan, till the last person in the line. He didn't leave. Anyways, but
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
so,
a great autograph. Wow, that's really cool.
yeah. So Donatello, my favorite turtle,
Sweet.
and yeah, he sketched it and then colored it in, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool.
And it's like when you meet famous people, yeah, they could be like, all right, cool, nice to meet you, move along.
Right.
Mhm.
No, but that's very cool. That's really cool.
So Kevin Eastman is one of the sweetest persons I've met.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Now I just need to meet Peter Lair.
Yeah, totally. Have him sign something else. So what do you
And
got there
then-
now, James? Oh, you want to show
right.
something else, Donnie?
I'm gonna show you
One last thing, one quick thing, last thing. I went to go see E.T. for the first time a week ago in IMAX.
Nice.
Here's my
Nice.
ticket. Never
What-
saw E.T.
What did you think of the movie?
Okay. I love the John Williams score. That is so amazing. Hearing that in the theater, it shook my bones, my soul, everything. I love the shots. I love this, everything about it. I loved it all. The one thing I didn't like is the fucking look of E.T. This penis turd, wrinkly nutsack looking thing.
Oh my God.
Just the look of him just didn't creep me out. It just threw me off. It just
Wow, that's interesting. That's
I
fascinating.
love everything. It's just E.T. look. It's like that was the only shit kicker.
Wow, yeah.
Everything else top notch.
Different kind of an alien too. It's not, it's not sexy. That's really interesting. What about you? What about you, James? Have you seen?
I feel like I'm looking at my dad's nutsack.
Wow. James, have you seen E.T.?
I have seen E.T. It's one of my favorite Spielberg movies. I remember seeing it.
Yep.
I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite childhood movies, along with Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep. Of course. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I understand that. Gentlemen, I think I'm going to take my leave of you and end this show. I want to thank James for going through those technical difficulties with me. Thank you for sticking around and being on the show. Appreciate it. And Donnie, I want to thank you for being on the show as
Bobby,
well.
I'm so glad we reconnected. I missed you.
I missed you too. We'll come back on. We'll do more of these. I'm going to be doing more streams. So
one more thing before I go though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing. I got a Stan Lee autographed skateboard. It's him with the Watchers.
Wow. Where'd you get that?
At Dragon Con. It was like one of his last conventions in 2017.
Wow.
A year before he passed. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you
go. Wow,
I've
never used that skateboard. You got to hang that on the wall, son.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to hang that up, man.
Yeah, it's on the wall right now, but I'm going to hang it up eventually.
Yeah,
so.
that's really cool. What a cool deck, man. That's awesome. Wow. Well, gentlemen, I will bid you all farewell, and I want to thank you for being here on Midnight Musings. So I will see you both later. Yes?
Live long and
prosper. Yes, sir. All right, gents. I'll see you later. Well, that was James and Donnie. Good to see them. Awesome. And I'm going to end my solo Midnight Musings, and it's 2:21 in the morning Pacific time, but don't fret. I will be back with my favorite German, your favorite German, everyone's favorite German, Mr. Dieter Bastian, for Let's Get Physical Media today at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So you can join me there. I want to thank my moderating staff, Tom Jr. Jackson, for being a moderator, and thank you very much for that. And Alex, of course, Alex Detman, who is a moderator on the channel that we've spoken, but it was great to meet him face-to-face. What a cool dude. So, Alex, thank you for all that you do. So thank you very much. And I want to thank all the viewers out there for generously supporting this channel via Super Chats and tips. I appreciate that. And memberships, too. And it's so great that you guys give us great stuff to talk about. And I love doing these shows. I'm sorry Lael and were not here tonight. They will be back next week. And we will be on the same bat time and the same bat channel. Actually, we'll probably be on Friday. But hopefully we won't have any familial commitments. But thank you all very much. And by the way, there's a new Designing Hollywood podcast up over on John Campia's channel, Sharon Long. And she was the costume designer, amongst other things, of the Hulu series The Great. So there you go. Check that out if you can. And I would say this. Remember, every person you know has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say to everyone, have a better day. And I mean that.